So there's a lot of drama that's been happening in terms of anime and gaming censorship, and what I'm about to cover here is going to make a lot of people angry, but it's got to be talked about. Senior localization manager at Bandai Namco attributes some of the changes to the Me Too movement and that they need to tell Japanese game developers to dress their heroines. We tell them that the cleavage is a bit too exposed or the skirt is a bit too short. Before, they weren't very flexible, but they become more proactive on such subjects. Straight up corpo speak for saying that they have forced the Japanese creators to now start self-censoring their creations at the starting point. Literally, upon their very inception, they're self-censoring their content. This explains so much why this is even a thing, and now why this is a thing. For the last few days, there's been some drama circulating around Code Vein 2, and trust me, it's very relevant to the censorship of anime, One Punch Man, and other games as well. I'm just trying to give full context to the story, and for everybody's on the same page, and why I'm even making this video to begin with. So basically, about 3 or 4 days ago, Bandai Namco released Code Vein 2's character creator for everybody could fiddle with it and make their own character in preparation for the game release on the 29th of this month, or if you spend $99 for an overpriced edition, you can play it tomorrow. But business practices aside for a very overpriced early access to get to a game, the point of the matter is when people started fiddling with the character creator, they instantly started to realize that Code Vein 2 was heavily censored. To the point to where outfits from Code Vein 1 that were in Code Vein 2 were completely different. And here is a side-by-side showcasing of one outfit in particular. On the left is Code Vein 1, on the right is Code Vein 2. And you can instantly see just the differences. It literally looks like on the right for Code Vein 2, it's completely untextured, blacked out. There's obviously shorts there, but it just looks completely blacked out. It's just very low effort censorship. It just does not look good. And this is one example of the outfits that are censored, but there is a lot of outfits. Pretty much majority of all the outfits that are from Code Vein 1 that were ported into Code Vein 2, and other outfits as well that's just strictly in Code Vein 2, have been heavily modified and censored where they show nothing of the female body. But then the drama around Code Vein doesn't just stop there. It doesn't just stop with the censorship of the game characters and models and stuff like that. We also have localization issues. Basically, there is a trailer for Code Vein 2 that came out for Valentine right here, Vada, that came out, and as you can see here on the bottom, the line says, "There's a fine line between justice and bigotry." This is what the English translation is saying here with the subtitles and in English. But in the Japanese, when someone actually looked at the Japanese and was able to understand it, apparently what it actually says directly translated is a fine line between justice and madness. Basically indicating that the localization team at Bandai Namco, they changed the wording of madness to bigotry. That is completely different words, completely different meaning. They are not even in the same meaning at all. But apparently, we already have indications that the localization team is censoring even the dialogue and changing the meaning of the actual narrative of Code Vein for people that, you know, play it in English or need to actually look at the English subtitles. And we can only imagine potentially the damage that was done in the Japanese version as well. And as I've already covered, the senior localization manager at Bandai Namco is very pro-censorship and has even admitted that they have forced Japanese creators to be proactive on censorship of certain subjects and that they have forced them to censor content at the creation stages. And so it's very relevant to what's going on with Code Vein 2 right now, because we are now seeing that this localization team that Bandai Namco has is now not just dictating, let's say, the translations and localization, they are now completely changing actual character designs, changing the narrative of things. They are literally creating their own game. They are actually hijacking these creators and what they're creating, what they're making within these games, and forcing them to change everything to fit what they want and their ideals, their ideology. This is actually insane. And this is where I get into why this is relevant to One Punch Man Season 3. Now, obviously, Code Vein is a game, and One Punch Man is anime. Two different forms of entertainment. But it's very relevant because Bandai Namco was in charge of the production committee, like a big part of the production of One Punch Man Season 3. And everybody that watched One Punch Man Season 3, you saw the memes, were shitting on One Punch Man Season 3 for its very poor animation. But there was another side to One Punch Man Season 3 that wasn't getting talked about as much. It was, but not as much as the bad animation. And that was the obvious censorship. For instance, as you can see right here, you have Zombie Man in the manga, he is smoking a cigarette. And if you look at the top, they replaced the cigarette with a lollipop. Completely crazy amount of censorship. It's like, apparently smoking a cigarette as an adult is seemed taboo now. You can't do that in like an adult show or anything meant for adults. You can't show a cigarette. But even if we want to disregard that, you had character designs, female character designs that were completely censored as well within One Punch Man Season 3. And it's clear that Bandai Namco, the people at the top, were forcing the staff and animators that had barely any time to work on the show to prioritize censorship instead of quality control. And I feel like the result of why this happened is because of individuals like this one right here, the senior localization manager at Bandai Namco. It's very obvious that Bandai Namco is extremely compromised. They are a company now that are really trying to push Japanese creators to censor themselves, and the Western branch of Bandai Namco has been showing that they are being more and more open about it. They are not even trying to hide that they are censoring characters and stuff like that. They are literally pro-censorship. It's actually crazy how open they are about this, and now we're seeing it affect not just games, but it's also affecting anime. And this is a systematic domino effect that you can see is just getting a lot worse. Because right here, I mean, the fact that they were like, oh, you know, a little bit of cleavage and stuff is problematic, and they started censoring this to the point to where now Japanese creators are self-sabotaging their products. They are censoring their products at the creation stages thanks to localization managers, which should not happen to begin with. There's no reason someone like this should have that much power to dictate game development. That's insane to me. Just full stop right there. But the point is that this is clearly their philosophy, the company's philosophy. They are incorporating this in all their products. It's very apparent with One Punch Man and what happened to it. And then now seeing this, yeah, it's very obvious. Now, I do want to point something out, that this article here, by the way, is actually an old article. It is from 2024, January, so it's about 2 years old at this point, but it's very clear that it's a very relevant article because Bandai Namco is, still following this ideology. I mean, Code Vein 2 is a very good indication of this, but also the horrible devastation that One Punch Man Season 3 left is also very apparent of that as well. So you cannot hate Bandai Namco enough. You cannot hate individuals that have legitimately compromised these companies and compromising these works to throw in not just like, you know, censorship, but also agenda pushing as well and changing the lines with localization, changing madness to bigotry. That's crazy. I'll leave it at that, though. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below, how you feel about this. How do you feel about how Bandai is now actively censoring games and anime, and anything that's barely shown needs to be full stop gone? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. But I love you guys. Be safe. Stay healthy. Chibi out.